All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakudash. Double honors to the apostles, and that was a great millstone. And peace and salutations to the elect. This is GMS Dallas, got the elder Yatazak here, and I'm the brother Aina. And we're continuing on this series of First Samuel. So we're in chapter 23 now, and before we actually get started in the chapter, I wanted to kind of do a recap of what we went into last week in 1 Samuel 22, which pretty much showed how Saul, started really tripping on a high level and started killing people on behalf of David, right? And we brought out that second Ezra 16 about how a majority of the people in the last days that believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, they're going to be persecuted, just like how King David was, and they're not going to be sparing. You're talking about the ones that are going to try to take the elect and have their way with them. They're going to be trying every way to basically get at us, man, get to us through people we know, through our family members, so on and so forth, right? But I wanted to get this scripture in Psalms because it does talk about the instance in 2 Samuel 22, when at the end when David found out that Doeg had slain the house of Ahimelech, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Oh yeah. Oh, you sharing it? Am I sharing it? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you want Psalms 54, right?
52.
Psalms 52. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Bubble shot. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So we just can, read through it and then we'll go into the chapter. You know what I mean? That's
All
cool.
right. Come, this is Psalms chapter 52, verse 1. It says, to the chief musician Mashil, a psalm of David, when Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul and said unto him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of the Most High endureth continually.
Right. And we know, like we went into last week, that word Edomite, concerning Doeg in the history was a clerical error. He was actually a Syrian, an Aramite or a Syrian. Okay. And so this is one of the many Psalms that was written during the time of David's persecution, which, starting in like chapters 18, 19, all the way up until till his death. King David, he constantly had people trying to seek his life. We haven't even gotten into 2 Samuel. Okay, this is just 1 Samuel with Saul's lifetime. But yeah, King Saul used Doeg to basically kill the priest, which when King Saul commanded his own men to kill the priest of the Lord, they didn't want to do it. They're like, no, we ain't gonna lay our hand upon the priest of the Lord. So Saul commanded a heathen to do his dirty work, right? So David was getting on Doeg too for actually doing that. Okay, you got it, Zaquan.
Come, verse 2. Psalms 52 and 2, it says, thy tongue devises mischiefs like a sharp razor working deceitfully.
Mm-hmm.
Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness, Salah.
Mm-hmm.
Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. The Most High shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place and root thee out of the land of the living, Salah.
Right. And so when we see, because this isn't just only pertaining to Doeg, okay, the Syrian, this is pertaining to any individual that loves wickedness, that loves deceit, which we know Esau, he's the chief devil or deceiver on the earth. Okay. And pretty much, this applies to, again, individuals, because you had a lot of Edomites. They also persecuted Israel as well, but this is written before like the Grecian Empire and the Roman Empire, for example, occurred. But we can apply that to different times, different time periods, after when this was written. But this applies to all wicked, but it's specifically talking about Doeg, the Syrian, just to qualify it. But we can finish it out.
God. Verse 6 says, the righteous also shall see and fear and shall laugh at him. Lo, this is the man that made not the Most High his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of the Most High. I trust in the mercy of the Most High forever and ever. I will praise thee forever because thou hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints.
You see, so these psalms are written to comfort, man. This is like a coping mechanism that David had used, when he was fleeing for his life. You see, and when he received news of wickedness and evil that was done, and so this is something that we can use as well as a spiritual, staff to keep us upright in times of persecution. Whenever we feeling low, we just know that we can relate to how David felt when he was going through it. So I just wanted to bring that out before we go into the chapter, just to kind of get the sentiment that David was in while we read this here. So do you want to continue on in that 1 Samuel 23?
Yeah, we can go ahead and jump into it.
Okay,
You want to share your screen, or you
Okay,
cool?
yes, I was gonna say I can read it if you don't mind.
Okay, that's what's up. I'll let you share your screen.
All right. Want to get a little bit of these maps. Okay, so I'm going to start in 1 Samuel 23 and 1. It says, then they told David, saying, behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors, which Keilah means fortress. And when you get that word in the Hebrew, it's Kwa'ai Yalah, which is a fortress. Okay, which it says it's a city in the lowlands of Judah, which was northwest of Hebron. And I pulled up this map. You can see the city of Hebron, which is a major city in the land of Judah, and then you have Keilah, which was to the west, of the city of Hebron. And you can see the border of the Philistines isn't too far away, so they went in, and tried to attack, this city here, and pretty much David got word of it, right? And when you go back here to the verse, right? David, in verse 2, it says, therefore David inquired of Yahweh Shem Shai, saying, shall I smite these Philistines? And the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai said unto David, go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. So again, the city of Keilah, which is brothers can see here on the screen to the left, was a city in Judah where Judites were living, and there was constant war. The scripture said there was constant war between the Philistines all the days of Saul. And so the Philistines, they were not letting up. They didn't care about what was going on in Israel. They were constantly trying to take the land back, that we had taken from them. And so David got word of this, and he inquired of the Lord first. He didn't just jump out there. I'm gonna get that in Proverbs. He didn't just jump out there and just go to battle. Oops. Psalms 3. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Psalms, Proverbs 3. Yeah, he didn't just jump out there and go to battle, man. This is Proverbs 3 and 5. It says, trust in Yahweh Shem Shai with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. So what David did, he didn't just act off emotions and say, oh man, damn, these dudes out here, these Philistines, they out here trying to take over the city, man. Let me rush out here. He inquired of the Lord first because his life was also in danger, right? But the Lord said, no, go ahead and smite the Philistines, right? It says, and David's men said unto him, behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? So David's, few hundred men, they were like, hold on, man, we fighting for our lives here amongst our own countrymen. Like, like you want to go to battle, you must be trying to kill us, like they were saying, like, we're going to be in more danger fighting against the Philistines than we are in our own hometown, right? It says in verse 4, then David inquired of the Lord again, and Yahweh Shem Yahshai answered him and said, arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand. So the Lord was like, man, look, like, trust me. It reminds me of Gideon, when the Lord, angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon in the book of Judges, and pretty much Gideon was like, man, I'm just a lowly, man, the least of my father's house. Like, what you gonna do with me? And the Lord delivered the enemy into Gideon's hands with, I believe, 300 men. So the Lord, he, deals with small numbers of men. Same thing with what's that in First Maccabees, with Judas. The Lord basically knows how to deliver into his hand with a small number, roughly paraphrasing.
Yep.
So that's how the name of Yahweh Shem Yahshua was magnified when these miracles happen, man. And this is history that's supposed to be looking back on to basically get strength and get encouragement in our daily lives, man.
I said, and then you also notice how I said that David inquired of the Lord, mentioned in the Urim and the Thummim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read this information on that real quick. It's in Wikipedia, right?
Okay.
It says in the Hebrew Bible, the Urim and the Thummim, meaning uncertain, possibly perfections, right? They got that wrong. But anyway, it says are elements of the Hoshin, the breastplate worn by the high priest attached to the ephod. They are connected with the claromancy. Let me go see what that is. Claromancy is a form of sortition in which an outcome is determined by means that normally would be considered random, such as the rolling of the dice, but that are sometimes believed to reveal the will of a deity. You see, so he was communicating with the Lord through the Urim and the Thummim, which was adorned by the high priest. You see, now you keep in mind, David ate the showbread. That was for the priest. He used the ephod for the Urim and the Thummim. That was of the priest. You see, an indicator of the future of Judah being priests. You know what I'm saying? What's that? Romans, not Romans. Hebrews 7. You see, it mentions that Moses didn't mention Judah as the priest, but you constantly see the Lord having mercy on David through that priest portion of who he was. He was a warrior, a priest, a prophet, a king, you see, and he dealt with him on all those different levels. As David was running for his life, the Lord was giving him priestly benefits, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? To keep him alive, to keep his faith built up, and all these different things. Just wanted to bring that out.
Khan. Yep, that's your pa. And so I'm gonna get that scripture that you quoted. So calling in Hebrews 7 and verse 14. It says, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, talking about Yahushai. Yahushai came from the tribe of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning the priesthood. So the Levitical priesthood was pertaining to the Levites, the sons of Aaron. But it says in verse 15, and it is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there ariseth another priest. You see? Because what is the let's see what the Greek word is for priest here. Strong's G2409, Ierus. And it says one who offers sacrifice and in general and busied with sacred rites. Let me see here. Yeah, we'll just go with that. One who offers sacrifices and in general and busy in sacred rites. And what does the scripture say about the sacrifices? The Lord delights in a contrite heart, man. Let's get that real quick.
Right.
That's the sacrifices that Yahweh Shem Shai is well pleased with.
And then also you got to keep in mind that the scriptures talk about Israel being a nation of kings and priests. It's
Yep.
12 tribes, you see. And instead of all the priestly duties falling on Levi, it's going to be the whole nation. You see, which makes us even stronger.
Con. I'm gonna get this and we'll go back to that. First Samuel. This is Psalms as a spirit. We read Psalms 52. This is Psalms 51. This is Psalms 51 and verse 16. It says, "For thou desirest not sacrifice." Let's see when this was written. Okay, this is after this is a little bit later on in the story with David and Bathsheba, but this is Psalms 51 and 16. "For thou desirest not sacrifice, else I would give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of Yahweh Shem Shai are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O Yahweh Shem Shai, thou wilt not despise." You see, so that's really those that humble down and they repent and they're converted. Those are the ones who's covered by the blood of Yahweh Shai, man. You see, and Yahweh Shai was a priest after the order of Melchizedek, like the scripture says. And we just read that in Hebrews 7, okay? Because he was blessed. Okay, talking about Yahweh Shai, he was blessed to the point where he was resurrected, man. You see, and he didn't do any transgression in his entire life. You see, and so that's the reason why he was basically made immortal when the Lord rose him up. Okay, so let's go back to 1 Samuel, because we're talking about the father of King Solomon here, who later returned as Yahweh Shai. So this is a very important man, because through his works, through David's works, basically Solomon's kingdom was able to come in and have that 40 years of peace.
Right. The throne of David was established through Solomon, who is Yahweh Shai, if you can receive it. You see, the house of Jacob, the house of Israel, the house of David, that's all the same house. You see, and the throne of David was established through Solomon, Yahweh Shai, which you fast forward to today. The throne of David will be established through Yahweh Shai. You see, and also another tidbit, you know what I'm saying, for the naysayers out there, when it comes to the throne of David being established on the earth, King David was in the spirit world when the throne was established through Solomon. You see, which was David's mercy. You see, so you fast forward to today, King David isn't necessarily here in the flesh, you know what I'm saying, but the prophecy talk about him being raised up. So like I said, the house of David being established through Yahweh Shai, King David wasn't on the planet when it was established back then, so he's not on the planet as of right now. You see, we believe he already came, passed, and he'll be risen up, as the precepts and the scriptures and the prophecy said. You got it.
Solomon reigned for 40 years. King David died the first pretty much day, if you will, because King David, he reigned all the way up until he died, and then he named his heir. You know, so that's heavy. And it wasn't his firstborn, by the way. You know,
right.
So just throwing that out there. But this is 1 Samuel chapter 23 and verse 5. It says, "So David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines and brought away their cattle and smote them with a great slaughter. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah." So we could see, because remember, well, you know, we haven't gone over it yet, but when you fast forward to when you know, when David like pretty much kind of like got his first kingdom, it wasn't in Jerusalem. It was in Hebron. You see, he reigned in Hebron, I believe, for like 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. And then he went to Jerusalem. You see, but in Hebron, you can see how close it is in location to Keilah, versus Jerusalem is located farther up north. I think might be in this one. I ain't even on this map. Jerusalem. Yeah, Jerusalem is up farther north. You see.
Salakia about that. I don't know what happened, but yeah, let's see if we can get the brother back. All right, let's see if we can get the brother. All right, let's see if we can get the brother back. Give me just a second, Salakia Akim and Aqua. Man, I guess too much was coming out. All right, let's get this precept real quick. All right, Shalom, brother, the water for the precept. All right, it says Judges 5:31 says, "So let thine enemies perish, O Lord, but let them that love him be as the sun when he goeth forth in his might." And the land had rested for 40 years. Right. All right. All right. Let me share my screen then. All right. First Samuel. All right. All right, verse 6, it says, "And it came to pass, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David at Keilah, that he came down with the ephod in his hand. And it was told Saul that David had come to Keilah, and Saul said, The Most High had delivered him into mine hand. For he is shut in by entering into a town that hath gates and bars." You see, so like I said, Solomon was still, not Solomon. Saul was still chasing David. You see, and he was thinking that he had David cornered at this point in time. All right, you back? We back, brother.
Okay, Khan, Salaki. I don't know what happened there.
I think that was on my end, but we should be good to go now.
Okay, Salaki, my bad. Yeah, I was just talking. I was like, well, damn, where everybody go? Let me go back to
You
sharing
can
this.
you can go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, Khan. Salaki, what verse did you end off on?
6. I was reading 6.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna continue on verse 6. It says, in verse 6, "And it came to pass when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David to Keilah, they came down with an ephod in his hand." So Abiathar went out and to David, because Keilah was a city that David had just delivered from the Philistines. So Abiathar went out there, to give David the ephod. And it says in verse 7, because we got to remember, like this is a big deal. Basically, Saul, he killed all of the priests. What was that? Nob? It was a city of the priests. So, like, I mean, there was very few priests. There were very few priests, man. Like, after Saul did that, he killed, it was like 80 priests.
I would say that's probably why the ephod was available, because the priest was gone.
Yes. Yeah, because Ahimelech, he had the ephod, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
When Doeg had killed all the priests, like, Abiathar, the Lord, was with. See, the Lord always leaves a remnant, man. It's heavy, because they were pretty much like barely, like probably no real priests at the time like that, because Saul had just killed all of the priests. So you could imagine the other priests when they heard of it, because the Levites, they were spread all throughout throughout the land, but they probably was ducking like, damn, like that was the main priest city. So it was full of slain, and all the children were killed, all of the women were killed. He like Doeg killed all of the inhabitants of Nob with the sword. You see, so there was basically no official high priest set up, right? I guess you could say Abiathar because he was Ahimelech's son, but they were just rolling in the spirit. So it says in verse 7, and it was told Saul that David was come to Keilah, and Saul said, the Most High hath delivered him into mine hand, for he is shut in by entering into a town that hath gates and bars. And so that was Saul's plan, was to just go ahead and command the gates of the city to be closed, and he was going to besiege the city or whatever he needed to do in order to get his hands on David. He was going to surround the city, right? And it says in verse 8, and Saul called all the people together to war to go down to Keilah and besiege David and his men, which was only a few hundred men. You see, David, talking about David's men, it was only a few hundred men, but Saul, he wasn't trying to take no prisoners, man. He wasn't, practicing any type of mercy, or he was like, man, I'm going full force. And David knew, verse 9, and David knew that Saul secretly practiced mischief against him. And he said to Abiathar the priest, bring hither the ephod. Okay. And so I know you want to get that commentary about the ephod. Let me see. I think okay, yeah.
All right, this is in the Bridgeway commentary in the Masor app. It says since Abiathar had brought him the high priest's ephod containing the Urim and the Thummim, David was able to ask and receive the Most High's direct guidance.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it says the Most High's first direction was to rescue the Israelite town of Keilah from the raiding of Philistines. It says as soon as he had defeated the Philistines, David withdrew from Keilah. He knew that Saul's army was larger and better equipped than his. Mm-hmm. He knew also that he could not trust the people of Keilah to stand with him against Saul. David still recognized Saul as the legal king and did not want to fight against him, right? Still being in order.
Mm-hmm.
It says, nor did he encourage the Israelite people to fight against their king. You see that? You see that? Now, when you fast forward to today, the spirit of David is on Great Millstone. You see, at the end of the day, I would say at the end of the day, we dealing with what the Lord is dealing with. You see, the house of Saul, which is trying to chase us down and call us this and call us that and get us off the block, is preached on our spots and all that. Look, at the end of the day, they still Israelites. We understand that the Lord set them up in this lot. We get it. You see, but at the same time, we're going to defend the gospel. You know what I'm saying? Just to correlate it with today. But you see, David was still being in order, even though the circumstances will call for him to get carnal or act another type of way. You see? So we also want to take that example away. It wasn't all about getting his lick back. He inquired of the Lord to see what he needed to do versus trying to get his lick back. You see?
Yep. Oh, and this is gonna exemplify that in the next chapter, but we're just gonna go into this one for now in verse 20. See, that's why the Lord deals with those who have integrity. If you deal right, we've never been in no situation where somebody's just constantly trying to kill us, bringing bands of men just to killing other people for not even being in league with you, just for helping you unknowingly. We've never been in that situation where we had like people really just trying to come and just seek our life, where if they see us, it's smash on sight. Nah, we haven't had that, and talking about in this lifetime. Shalom, Apostle. Shalom. Okay, Khan. No, it's all good. Yeah, so we haven't experienced that yet, you know what I mean? But David, he was going through this And so, I mean, it's just like the integrity that David had to where he didn't, just like Job, he didn't sin with his lips. You know, he could have been like, Lord, why are you putting me through that? No, he was just asking the Lord for mercy. He's like asking the Lord, what do I do now, Lord? That takes a level of spiritual maturity. You see? So let me see, make sure you still there, Zaquan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, so continuing on, in verse 10, it says, Then said David, O Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, power of Israel, thy servant hath certainly heard that Saul seeketh to come to Keilah, to destroy the city for my sake. Will the men of Keilah deliver me up into his hand? Will Saul come down as thy servant hath heard? O Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, power of Israel, I beseech thee, tell thy servant. And the Lord said, he will come down.
That communication through the Urim and the Thummim. You
Mm-hmm.
see, he asked the Lord what to do. You see, and that's what we need to do moving forward. You see, whatever the situation may be, ask the Lord in sincerity and truth. Okay, where you want me to go, Lord? What you want me to do? I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure I do the right thing. I don't want to just. I want to depend on you. I don't want to depend on my own understanding no more. What am I supposed to get from this? You know what I'm saying? And the Lord will answer you. The Lord will answer you.
Con,
You see?
con,
You got it.
con. And it's like same thing with now, like you said, it's like we don't need the ephod because the order we're under the order of Melchizedek priesthood now. You see, through the sacrifice that Yahweh Shai made, we have a direct line of communication through Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
See, because Yahweh Shai said he's gonna send the comforter when he gets delivered up. Yahweh Shai said when he gets delivered up, then he's gonna send the comforter, and that's the Holy Spirit. So
Bring it out.
verse 12, it says, Then said David, will the men of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua said, they will deliver thee up. So even it's a tough pill to swallow, man, because like that's his own. David, here it is. The Lord told David to go and save the Israelites from the Philistines, the Israelites that dwelt in that city. And then the Lord told David, hey, those same individuals that you just saved from the Philistines, they're going to deliver you into Saul's hand. it's like whenever we're in our in our daily lives and we seem like we can't win for nothing, we just taking L after L after L, which is really lessons, and the scriptures talk about the trial of our faith working patience. We got to remember times like this when it's like, damn, like I just saved these dudes and they're gonna deliver me into Saul's hand. But what was David's reaction? It says, verse 13, then David and his men, which were about 600, arose and departed out of Keilah and went whithersoever they could go. So all they could do was move accordingly with the information that they had. That's all we can do in these times, man. There's going to be times where, we may be, like thinking that we good. Okay, we just got here, and then some more bugged out stuff happens where we got to make a move, but we can't lose that. We can't lose that patience, man. You see,
That's right.
man, I'm just gaining the lessons from reading like how David responded to this. Like most individuals, like basically without the spirit, man, you would just complain and you would get destroyed. So it says, continuing on, and it was told Saul that David was escaped from Keilah, and he forbore to go forth. So Saul was like, man, he left before I could get there, man. I ain't gonna go out there and chase him. You see? So, but you can imagine Saul's frustration, like, damn, man, I've been trying to kill this dude. It's like every time I hear where he's gonna be at, by the time I get there, he leave. You see? So, you can imagine Saul's frustration, but that shows the demons that was on Saul. Like, reminds me of Pharaoh, like basically the more basically like the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, the Lord hardened Saul's heart. It's like he kept making him more abstinent, I think that's the word, more hard-hearted towards just killing David. Like it didn't even really matter what was at stake
Right.
anymore.
He had completely forgot about the Lord
Yeah,
in his pursuit of David. He wasn't worried about nothing the Lord had going. You
yeah,
see? Yeah, he wasn't. It was he was completely gone at this point. You know what I'm saying? And waxing worse. You got it.
man. Verse 14. And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds and remained in the mountain in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, but the Most High delivered him not into his hand.
You see that? And that's the thing, showing that integrity and keeping that faith. You know, that's the key. That's the key. With all that was going on, it was to the point to where David couldn't do nothing but depend on Yahweh Shem Yahweh. He didn't want to work. He didn't want to make haste. You see, he didn't get in his flesh. He got through that because he was spiritual more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
When you see how Saul is acting, you see Saul is completely carnal. David was completely spiritual, and the Lord was looking at the spiritual aspect. I would say the Lord was working with David through the Spirit. You got it.
Yeah, that word Ziph is Strong's H2128. It's a yop. It says battlement. That's what that city meant, battlement. So continuing on in verse 15. And David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life, and David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a wood. So he was living in the woods,
Mm-hmm.
you know, him and his men. In verse 16, and Jonathan, Saul's son, arose. And you know what just came to mind, Zaquan? Like it was commanded for us all throughout the nation of Israel to observe the what is that, Feast of Tabernacles, you know, the when we dwell out in tents, you know, like we were supposed to observe that, man, and go out and dwell in tents to remind us that we were once, you know, we were once dwelling in tents, like when we was in Egypt. We were slaves in Egypt. We were once foreigners, you know, we were in a strange land. Like, so I mean, it sounds harsh, the fact that they were in the wilderness, living in the forest and stuff, but it's like they probably were used to that. Like that wasn't their first time sleeping outside, you know. They knew how to pitch up tents and stuff. So these were different men back then. You know, I can imagine trying to sleep outside now, even if I had a tent. You
Man,
know.
yeah. I mean, if you had to, you would be able to. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like they was in a different spirit. No cell phones, no, man, it's just different times. And it says verse 17, and he said, oh, I don't know if I read the 16. And Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood and strengthened his hand in the Most High. So the Lord allowed Jonathan to find David throughout all of that, you know, madness that was going on.
what's this is a precept that's pretty much going into your Lord, the Lord will make a way for you when you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
What is that? First Corinthians. Well, that reminds me of First Corinthians 10 and 13. Um, it says, "There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape,
Mm-hmm.
that ye may be able to bear it."
There you
You know,
go. There you go.
so the Lord, man, he's a dynamic power. This is all a test. Everything's I look at everything as a test, because this is, we call this the matrix and all this stuff, but you getting bugged out over your situation. All we can do is control how we respond to the situations that we're in. So continuing on in verse 17, 1 Samuel 23, and he said unto him, "Fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee, and thou shalt be king over Israel, and I shall be next unto thee, and that also Saul my father knoweth." So Jonathan was just reminding David, hey, look, bro, I ain't switched up on you. My allegiance is to you. You know what I mean? My dad, he's just bitter because um, he knows that you're gonna be king and not me.
Right.
It says in verse 18, it says, and they too made a covenant before the Lord, and David abode in the wood, and Jonathan went to his house. So you see how Saul didn't kill Jonathan, even though he knew that him and David was best friends, because he wanted Jonathan to be on the throne. But he still, he still, obviously, Saul, talking about Saul, he still had demons on him when he cast that javelin at him, you know. But the Lord, he didn't, he allowed it to where Jonathan, because it was multiple instances. I remember we went into it when Saul was going to kill Jonathan the first time, when he dipped his hand in that honey, and ate that honey. But the people delivered Jonathan out of the Lord's hand. I'm sorry, out of Saul's hand. But I just found it interesting how the Lord just allowed Jonathan to just go up and find David. And
Right.
verse 19, it says, then came up the Ziphites to Saul to Gibeah, saying, doeth not David hide himself with us in strongholds in the wood? And I believe those were Israelites. Let me just double check. The inhabitants of Ziph, which was let me see here. Yeah, it had to have been. It had to have been because it was located in the land of Judah. You see, right next to Hebron. So you can see on this map here, you got Hebron, because you got Kyla to the left, but Ziph, David had went back to the land of Ziph, or the wilderness of Ziph. So it wasn't the city, it was like somewhere. Matter of fact, I might have a better map. Yeah, this map is good. You can see, it's kind of pixelated here, but you can see Ziph where my mouse is. So this was like the city area, but it was the wilderness would be like the plains where there was nothing, there was no city. It was just land. So the individuals that lived in the city was like, yo, hey, King Saul, David, he over here. Yeah, um he was in Kyla, but he fled from Kyla and he went down to the wilderness of Ziph. So once Saul heard word of that, um it says verse 19, doeth not David hide himself with us in the strongholds in the wood in the hill of Hakilah, which is on the south of Jeshurun? So they told Saul exactly where David was, you know. And it says, now therefore, O king, come down according to all the desire of thy soul to come down, and our part shall be to deliver him into the king's hand. So you can see how people still had allegiance to Saul. People didn't really know that King David, like, they basically looked at him as a refugee. Like, they looked at him like, you know what I mean, like a vagabond, like a rebel. You see, so even though the Lord was with David, the people, that shows the majority of people, they're not going to be on the side of the Lord's men.
Right.
You know, verse 21, and Saul said, blessed be ye of the Lord, for ye have compassion on me. So they Saul had demons on him, man. Saul was like, man, y'all are on point, man. Y'all are righteous, man. The Lord gonna bless y'all for giving me David's location. You see how backwards like Saul's mind was, but those are strong delusions. Verse 22, go, I pray you, prepare yet, and know and see his place where his haunt is, and who hath seen him there. For it is told me that he dealeth very subtly. See therefore, and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hideth himself, and come ye again to me with the certainty, and I will go with you. And it shall come to pass, if he be in the land, that I will search him out throughout all the thousands of Judah.
Ooh, man. Man. And I will say, now you see what, when you fast forward in the story, you see why David didn't want that punishment over again. He had already been through being chased by his enemies. Go ahead.
Con. Verse 23. See there, I'm sorry, verse 24. And they arose and went to Ziph before Saul. But David and his men were in the wilderness of Moab, in the plain on the south of Jeshimon, and excuse me, Mayon. Let me pull that word up actually. In the Hebrew, the wilderness of Mayon. Ma'aiwan, habitation. You see here. Okay, it's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much just mean habitation. And it says a city, let me see what, located 8 miles south of Hebron. So I believe, okay, yeah. So you got Hebron here. So Mayon would have been like around here somewhere in the wilderness. Okay. So because there's a lot of cities named in here, so I just want to kind of get a little bit of an idea of like where majority of this took place. You know, the easy way to remember, just remember it was around the city of Hebron. So verse 25, and Saul also went, excuse me, Saul also and his men went to seek him, and they told David. Wherefore he came down into a rock and abode in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Maon, because it was kind of like already on the way down there. Like he was going to Ziph, and then Maon was like a little bit more south, you know. So Saul was all right, cool. We're just gonna go down there and chase him. And then verse 26, and Saul went on this side of the mountain, and David and his men on that side of the mountain. And David made haste to get away for fear of Saul.
And so they sound. I was like you mentioned earlier. It sounded like Pharaoh chasing Moses.
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Right here. Hebron, and then you got Ziph, right, in the wilderness of Ziph, and then you got Maon down here, which is kind of like towards the end of the dead. Was it? Yeah, the Salt Sea. Excuse me. You know. So he went all the way down into Judah, you know, because Benjamin is located north of the land of Judah. So Saul was traveling to get to David, and it says in the middle of verse 26, and David made haste to get away for fear of Saul, and his men compassed David and his men round about to take them. But they're so basically they were surrounded. You know, they ended up, you know, pretty much getting to the point where they were almost like it was just a mountain between Saul's army and David's men. Okay, and there came uh but there came a messenger unto Saul, saying, haste thee and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. Wherefore Saul returned from pursuing after David and went against the Philistines. Therefore they called that place Selah Hamalikoth, which I'm gonna get that actual like pronunciation real quick. Strong's H 5555. Salai ha Machal Kwath. Salai ha Makwal Kwath. Excuse me, ha Machal Kwath, which Salai means rock, and then Machal Kwath is like a divide, like a divide between two things, or a course, or a division. But you know, translated together, it says the cliff of divisions, or the cliff of escapes. You know, basically, like that one that one rock was dividing David's men and Saul's men. You know, and so through that one, you know, that one item, or that one mountain, David was able to escape from Saul. So that's why they called it that. And then the last verse, hold on. The last verse, verse 29, and David went up from thence and dwelt in the strongholds at Engedi. So that shows you the Lord knows how to deliver us from, you know, in times of trouble, man.
Right. David basically had his own personal Jacob's trouble. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? If you can receive it. But at the end of the day, he kept his integrity. He kept his faith. He trusted in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and that's what we're supposed to do. You see, when it comes up for our turn. So, you got anything else?
Yeah, Khan. I'm gonna get this real quick. I guess we can end off in this Psalms 91. I was looking for one. This be a good closeout. Psalms 91 and the last two verses. Um, it says, I'll start at verse 14. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. See, so the Lord was with David in trouble, man. And who, what's that name? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, so if you call upon that name and believe on that name, man, we could see some instances of how the Lord has delivered our forefathers in the past. And there's gonna come times where if you don't call upon the name of the Lord, that's gonna be your ass. So we better get
That's
in the
right.
spirit of calling upon that name now. But you got it, Zaquan.
Hey, with that, want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the Manwa Mop. That's in sincerity and truth. Shalom. Most spirit, less flesh. Rachara Bashal Ma'at. Shalom.
Shalom.